Ladies and gentlemen, I am about to go on an adventure, and we're also starting a little bit of a new series here, which is the diaries of what we've been doing, because it's much easier than watching an entire VOD or having highlights with no context, things like that. So we're hoping to make this semi-regular, and I want to give shout-outs to Bex. This is Bex's first project of some videos that she's going to be making for us, so give her a thumbs up as she's having a go at doing a little bit of editing while Chris works on our big things. So we're going into Terraria. I kind of wanted to lay down the rules of what a blind run is so that you guys know going forward what the hell this is and why Terraria. Let's do the blind thing first, because this has been a little bit of a confusion even with our live audience, because I'm often talking out loud and most of it is rhetorical and I'm never looking for answers. When we do a full blind playthrough, that means I haven't looked anything up. I'm not going to look anything up either, and I'm trying to let the game educate me on what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's one of the key features that has actually gotten us a lot of credit with a lot of companies in terms of going into their games and like trying to find out whether their tutorials actually work in a way that the game can explain itself, rather than having to go to Google or to the internet in some form to look up a wiki, especially early in a video game where people are like, okay, I've got this game and the game's not presenting anything to me. How do we look at it? Now, more importantly than that, full blind playthroughs are the most fun way I enjoy video games. I absolutely adore it. I don't really care that there's extensive wikis or there's a million YouTube guides and things like that. That journey of discovery is something that I crave and I love. And wherever possible, just like we did with Path of Exile, just like we did with Eve, just like we did with a bunch of games, I love that discovery and being stumped and then figuring things out, all that kind of stuff. So rest assured, even though I am live streaming full blind playthroughs, I'm not taking anything from the chat. And at this point, our live audience that joins us, the thousands of people that join us every single day, is fully on board with this process and actively goes out of their way to make sure that there's no information in the chat which could be used by me to solve a problem I'm currently having. And what we've seen is the audience grow a lot on that. They enjoy knowing what's coming up. They know I don't know, that kind of process. And I'm very disciplined at not looking things up. So why Terraria? Terraria is a game I saw 12 years ago with Total Biscuit and Jesse Cox play it on TV's channel. Looked super fun. Put it on my list of things to play, and obviously I was like 100% World of Warcraft at the time and just never got around to it. So over a decade later, here I am thinking I'm going to try out this game. I have no idea whether I'm going to last a day or last many days. I might like it, I might not. I have no idea. So that's why Terraria. Let's jump in. I'm going to spoil a little bit and say I absolutely adore this game. This is if you've not played this, it's an absolute gem and should be on your list of things to do. So, with that said, what are we going to play? So obviously, I am full blind. When going to the menu, I didn't know what we were going to do. I certainly enjoy a challenge, as you well know from my Mythic raiding days. So Master Mode is going to be the choice that I'm going to go with. I will learn to maybe regret that choice very quickly. And we're also going to make a large world so I can fully explore it. I'm not sure whether, and again, this is the full blind thing. I don't know whether if you choose a different size world, do you still get all the stuff? I don't know. Maybe there's things that only exist in a large world. Maybe I just get duplicates of the same thing. No idea, but I don't want to take that risk. So large world, master mode, full blind is what we're going in. Within the first 5 minutes, and I should point out here, we're preparing for a hardcore run. I was convinced that a hardcore run would be something very good for not only stream, but for my own and personal enjoyment. So this is the preparation for a hardcore run that I want to do sometime in the future, but I obviously have to learn the game first. It was actually Nupss on our team who talked me out of starting with hardcore. He said, you're going to just die all the time. It's really not worth it. Do it like softcore first, then go into hardcore. And I'm glad he did. When the game started, I was actually pleasantly surprised to see that I started with some various tools. I obviously had heard Terraria is Minecraft but 2D, and fully expected to be hand and fist, whacking away at trees to ultimately get some wood together to eventually build some tools to get started. Not the case. Actually started me with some stuff, which I was super surprised by. And then the slimes came. Now, what I noticed is there was an NPC with me marked as a guide. That was really exciting for me because not only was he around with me, Zach was also doing some damage, and very quickly I realized I had Z DPS. I had absolutely no damage whatsoever, and also no health, and these slimes just kept on coming. I didn't have a single moment to do anything other than protect myself from slimes, and I died. And not only that, but Zach died as well. I lost my guide, I lost my character, I lost my guide, and was constantly getting swarmed. And in a full panic, a full-on panic, I just built myself basically a block room in order to protect myself and keep the slimes locked out, because I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. I had no idea. I hadn't had a second to look at anything. And I just built myself a blocky little square where I could live, and then night started to fall, and then zombies started showing up. But at that point, I was looking through, I saw a little crafting menu and saw that I could build like a workbench, tables, chairs, doors, that kind of basic stuff from wood. There were trees around, so it was pretty reasonable for me to lock myself in and start messing around with the buttons. When doing a full blind playthrough, messing around with buttons is usually the go-to. If in doubt, just click it. Try and read as many tooltips as possible. Obviously, miss a ton of tooltips because there's so much going on the screen. But I noticed things like lots of armor slots, lots of, looks like trinket accessories. Things like that were what I was starting to notice as I was getting my initial home set up in order to keep going with the game. And eventually my guide did get replaced. Another guy turned up and just started hanging around my house, which made me feel better because Zach unfortunately bit the dust. Zach unfortunately bit the dust, and I was really glad that somebody else turned up to help me, but I was really gutted when Zach died because he was providing most of the damage to protect me from these slimes, but at least I was enclosed in my little shed in order to keep things good. So from there, it was like starting to build out a base of operations. It was nighttime, so I figured with all zombies going in that digging down would probably be a good idea, so I built myself some rooms and started exploring the underground, which got real spooky because when I came back, zombies were opening the doors to my house. Like, they were in my house, and I didn't understand what the hell was going on. Like, what's the point in having doors if just everybody can open them? And I was constantly having to, like, entrench myself inside other completely wooden blocks in order to stop this happening. And I constantly messing around as to why the hell I was always under attack. I was getting brutally attacked. My guides were getting killed. And I didn't know what to do until I did figure out walls at some point. I figured out walls and found out that if I put walls up, that does stop things getting in. But they could still open doors, which was super frustrating because I couldn't come back to my own goddamn house with this happening. So I came up with the idea of airlocks, because they would only open doors occasionally. So I figured if I just put loads of doors in, like multiple airlock entries, then they might open one door, but they're probably not going to open the other door. And that way I can sort of block them out from getting there. And I've got to be honest, it kind of worked. And I was really proud of myself. My airlock system was viable for getting on with what I needed to do as I started to venture down into the world. Now, I've got to say, obviously the first things I was excited by was looking for upgrades, right? I didn't realize until probably a couple of hours into this that this is one of the better RPG style games that I've ever seen. Like, the gearing system, there's a story being told as you're moving through it. It's like, it's not presented to you in like a storytelling fashion or anything, but there's a story happening and you're looking at upgrades and stuff and bringing back new materials and standing next to my workbench to figure out what I can craft with them. And I ended up crafting a lot of random stuff after I started finding potions and copper and things like that. Is that I could build a furnace. Okay, that makes sense. I can smelt some iron and I can make that work. And going from there, and I started picking up like items, like magic items, cobwebs, which on the craft bench, I could turn that into rope. I could start making things like that, make torches, so I could start lighting the way and building myself little platforms so I could hop in and out of danger whenever possible. I managed to get some upgrades. The biggest discovery of the day, of course, was tungsten. Once I got tungsten and went to the crafting bench, I realized I could make some really mad quality high DPS weapons and armor. I was so excited. Tungsten is my pride and joy. But one thing I did realize is that I hadn't really explored anywhere. And one thing I know about Minecraft is different biomes, right? Different biomes. So I decided, like, I'll go and try and look from other stuff. And the first thing I found was a desert, which was really cool. I was constantly under attack and getting savaged. So I built myself another little house, walled it in and put some torches up, and then started digging down until a monster dived from, like, a wrestler dived from the top floor and landed on my head and wiped me out. And also the enemies that were down there were extremely brutal. It was abundantly clear I am not supposed to be in this area whatsoever, and I need to get the hell out. So I returned to my base, a little bit tail between my legs, in order to just start sort of getting more and more materials to upgrade. I needed to upgrade. It was savage. It was absolutely savage trying to figure things out as to what I was supposed to be doing, because I had no health. Everything that hit me took so much of my health, especially spiders. Spiders could, like, 2-hit me and became the most terrifying enemy I've ever seen. Until about 5 hours in, I dig down and suddenly I see something glowing below me. And I'm really deep at this point. I'm, like, so deep that I see this blue glowing biome and managed to break in. But once again, this like mushroom glowing area, absolutely stuffed with more high-level enemies. But there were chests and houses, which were giving me a lot of potions and things, which made me very tempted to continue going down there. So I started building alternative routes, just so I could explore that area and try and make it safe. And I started building, like, some steps and platforms in order to get my ass out of there when things started going wrong, because I could barely survive. But on this way, I noticed in the water, there was, like, these red hearts. Picking those up increased my HP. Massive. Absolutely massive. And I got pretty lucky here, I think, as I found like 2 or 3 next to each other, which allowed me to just dramatically increase my HP really quickly. I managed to more than double my HP in our first play session while exploring and adventuring out, while picking up all sorts of other resources, building an anvil, building other workbenches, things like that, which once again extended it. But coming to the end of the first day, I was just left feeling that I just need tungsten. And I was running into so many issues. Like, I don't know how to deal with sand. Like, there's so much sand in the desert biome that's just constantly needs churning through, and I can't figure out how it is. I found a sand bucket, but that didn't do anything. And I'm still in this era of trying things out to get things done. So that's day 1. And at the moment, tungsten. We need that tungsten. We need to go big. And I'll be back tomorrow with another update for you guys.